The movie starts off in 1968, when the Skyview Tower, a fancy new restaurant on the rooftop of a skyscraper, opens its doors. We meet Iris and her fiancé, Paul. It's a festive start, a grand occasion with loads of people, music, and champagne. However, things quickly become grotesque when Iris has a vivid dream. She has a series of horrific events. The chandelier falls off, the glass floor collapses, there is a gas leak and a fire, and the entire building starts to crumble. Everyone is shouting and plummeting, it's absolute chaos. In her dream, she and a child tumble to their deaths. Iris awakens, shaken to the core, and immediately starts screaming for others to get out. Her panic takes grip, and many of the guests flee from the building. A second later, the actual horror happens, just like she saw. She saves people, but some are badly hurt. We then switch to the present day. A university student named Stefanie appears. She's had ongoing nightmares regarding the Skyview Tower collapse, despite not visiting there, yet somehow it seems like it happened to her personally. She leaves to return home to find out more. She encounters her dad, Marty, and her estranged brother, Charlie. The three of them also have a chilly relationship with Iris, who is now very old and terminally ill. Stefanie heads to visit her grandmother and finds out at last, Iris had saved lives that day in 1968, but while doing this, she changed what death had planned. And death, Iris claims, doesn't simply quit, it targets the individuals who were meant to die, and even their children or grandchildren at times. It's been doing this quietly for decades. To demonstrate how real this is, Iris accepts her fate, in front of Stefanie, and dies in a vicious, unanticipated accident. It's astonishing and leaves Stefanie traumatized. The next morning, the family gathers for Iris's funeral. The loss is still fresh, especially for Stefanie, who can't shake what she witnessed. Her uncle, Howard, tries to comfort her, gently telling her that nobody should have to see what she did. As the service wraps up, an RV pulls up near the cemetery. Stepping out is Darlene, Stefanie's estranged mother. She hadn't been seen in years, and everyone is surprised at her return. Darlene left Stefanie and Charlie when they were kids, outed by her growing paranoia that death was also after her, since she is Iris's relative. Stefanie welcomes her coldly. She doesn't want anything to do with Darlene, blaming her for leaving the family when they needed her most. Charlie attempts to soothe her, telling her perhaps their mom must have had a reason. But Stefanie won't hear it. She turns around and leaves. That evening, back home, Stefanie retrieves the old book Iris gave to her. It is thick, old, and full of names and scribbled notes, deaths in their lineage, chronicled with causes, times, and unsettling accuracy. Stefanie flips through the pages in dismay at how widespread the pattern is. Meanwhile, the remainder of the family is preparing for a barbecue elsewhere. Bobby is handing out drinks when one of the glasses tips over. He hurries to clean up the shards but misses one tiny jagged piece remaining in the ice bucket. Food is finishing on the stove when Darlene reappears, this time to join the family. Surprisingly, Howard welcomes her warmly. Despite the past, he knows fear drove her away, not malice. As Bobby prepares drinks using ice from the bucket, he unknowingly adds the glass shard into one of the cups. Everyone raises their glasses for a toast, clinking them together. Just then, Julia starts coughing violently. For a second, everyone panics, thinking she's choking. But it proves to be only a bug she swallowed, an innocent one. Back home, Stefanie examines Iris's book more intently. She reads chillingly precise accounts of how each member of the family might die. One of the causes scares her, a picture of a glass fragment near a lawnmower. A photo of her and her family falls and breaks at the same time. She assumes it is a clue that has something to do with glass. In a panic, Stefanie rushes to Uncle Howard's to warn everyone. Meanwhile, the teenagers are trampolining and having fun. None of the teenagers notice a rake spread out in the lawn beneath it. Fortunately, Darlene, being hypersensitive to danger now, notices it and grabs it away in time before any damage is caused. Then Brenda knocks over a half-full beer, and it presses onto the riding lawnmower's ignition switch. The mower takes off. Stefanie rushes into the yard and looks desperately around for something wrong, but too late. Howard moves forward, onto the hidden glass shard. He loses his footing and falls right into the path of the oncoming lawnmower. It cuts him in two and instantly, Howard is killed. The family is reunited again a few days later, this time for Howard's funeral. Everyone is shaken and subdued, mourning but also nervous. Death is a reality to them now and not merely a superstitious idea. That evening, she sits with the death book for hours and records each conceivable pattern, location, names and triggers. She makes a list of who will be next: Eric, then Julia, then Bobby, then Darlene. And then herself. Charlie, the youngest, is crossed last. Their father is not mentioned, which may be because he is not part of Iris's bloodline. Stefanie delivers the news to the family that morning. She spells it out, calling notice to the fact that all the people Iris saved in 1968, and their children, have gone on to meet their deaths in strange accidents since then. She warns them that this will keep happening unless they step in to stop it. But her father does not take her seriously. Her father thinks that Iris has left her with a bad case of paranoia. Eric also thinks the same and rolls his eyes, dismissing everything. Stefanie goes out of her way to warn Eric that he's next, but he's not hearing it. Brenda has had enough of the drama and storms out. Eric follows her. The rest of the family leave one by one, leaving Stefanie with Darlene. The next evening, Eric is alone in his tattoo shop. He finishes piercing the tongue of a young woman. She pays him, thanks him, and leaves. He stays behind to clean up, wiping down the countertops and putting away equipment. Reduced to tears by the death of Howard, Eric chooses to get a small memorial tattooed in memory of his dead father, something to hold him close. He then sits down to tattoo his forearm. Unbeknownst to him, one of the decorative skull figurines that rest on a high shelf starts to move. It topples and falls onto a glass jar next to his feet. The jar shatters. Eric hears the noise and squats down to clean it up. But when he does, there's a small spill of paraffin on the floor. As Eric leans down, the chain of a ceiling light fixture drops down and catches on the metal ring on his nose. The chain yanks tighter, held up by the rotation of the fan. It lifts Eric up off the ground a little bit, and he yelps, struggling to free himself. The movement knocks over a little heater, which tips into the paraffin. The liquid catches fire immediately. Fire erupts throughout the room, coming into contact with supplies and fuel. Eric struggles, trying to get out as the fire extends. Smoke fills the room. The tattoo parlor erupts in flames, engulfing everything in seconds. The next morning, Stefanie wakes Charlie. She has a bad feeling about Eric and insists that they go check on him. The two fly out of the house into his. On their way down the street, they nearly knock into Eric, who was just walking. Stefanie jumps out, surprised. She inquires if he is okay. Eric, being as laid back as ever, just brushes it off and says yes, his store burned down but he made it out. He informs her that he was wearing a thick leather jacket, which saved him from the full impact of the explosion. Stefanie is agitated, something does not feel right. She is convinced Eric was supposed to be killed. Julia goes outside and cautiously inspects Eric's burn wounds, relieved that he is alive. Next, Stefanie notices a stationary garbage truck in the area. There's something wrong with it, like it's humming with danger. She warns Eric off of it, but Eric taunts and licks the side to demonstrate that nothing will happen to him. Julia, frustrated with the frazzled nerve, splits off to take a run to relax. Running along the street, she's hit in the face with a soccer ball and stumbles right into a trash can. Just as suddenly, the garbage truck's mechanical arms extend over the bin and grasp it. Julia is still inside and screams for help. Stefanie and Eric see the truck and run to try to catch it, yelling at the driver. But he is unaware of them, and the compactor powers up. Stefanie starts climbing up and manages to catch hold of the bin just in time. She crawls inside and tries to drag Julia out, but it is too late. The gear breaks apart before them, and Stefanie manages only to pull out Julia's severed arm. That afternoon, at home, Stefanie cries in the kitchen. Reality sets in of what happened for the first time, breaking something within each of them. The family gathers together, shaken and shattered. No one will now dispute it, they are being hunted. In the silence, Brenda breaks down and admits something she's been keeping secret for all these years: Eric is not Howard's biological child. She explains he was created during a brief breakup between her and Howard, and she never spoke up. It's a poignant admission, and Eric is furious. He storms out of the house in anger, feeling deceived. Bobby, trembling with fear, pleading Stefanie to save him, as he's next. They all get it. In search of answers, all members of the family head to locate the man Iris saved from Skyview Tower years before, the man who survived the first fall. They proceed to the local hospital, where the man now works in the morgue. He appears from behind the door, greeting them, and introduces himself as JB. He's a soft-spoken, gentle man who is heartbroken to hear about Iris's passing. He reaffirms what they already think: cheating death has a cost. He tells them that the only way of stopping death is to stop another life. Not just any life, an innocent one. Doing so, they steal the remaining life of the victim for themselves. The group is horrified and refuse. JB understands. He doesn't force them, he merely says death will come for him too. And he leaves, letting them decide for themselves. Then, Eric pulls Bobby aside and says he has another plan, a way to cheat death without hurting anybody. He proposes that they temporarily halt the beat of his heart so Death will think he's dead, then they'll bring him back. They walk back to the hospital and find an MRI room. Eric gives Bobby a chocolate peanut bar, while knowing that Bobby is allergic. Bobby doesn't want it but complies. He eats it, and his airways begin to close soon after. Unbeknownst to them, a file drops on top of the computer keyboard and activates the MRI scanner. A powerful magnet is turned on. Eric's body piercings begin to be drawn towards the machine. The wheelchair, too, is flung with a jerk. Eric's body collides with the magnet, the metal frame of the chair bending over his back. The impact is too much for him. His spine snaps and he dies on impact. Bobby, halfway through anaphylaxis, stabs himself with his EpiPen, but as a nurse rushes in, a loose spring from the nearby drink cooler shoots forward and penetrates his head, killing him. Before long, police swarm the hospital. The family, down to Stefanie, Brenda and Charlie, are devastated. Death is destroying them. Stefanie makes a final decision. They must go to Iris's old cabin, the last place she believes they could be safe. But Darlene will not lose her kids. She informs them she'll go on her own and lock the door. She believes that if she can sacrifice her life, it can give them a chance. Charlie tries to restrain her, but Darlene is determined. They go to the cabin and drive beyond the gate. Unfortunately, no one notices the exposed wiring on the roof has sparked, making its way insidiously inside. As Darlene enters the cabin, a surprise explosion ruptures the cabin. Fire engulfs the house, and Darlene is instantly killed. Weeks have gone by, and life attempts to proceed. Charlie is preparing for his prom. Stefanie takes him to a friend's place where the group of people is converging prior to prom. On the other side of town, an old woman misplaces a coin, and it rolls on the sidewalk between railroad tracks. It bumps a rail switch slightly so that the train goes off course through a residential area. Elsewhere, as Charlie and Stefanie are waiting at the house, they notice something odd. Abruptly, a loose train roars through the neighborhood. It burrows through the row of houses. Stefanie and Charlie run, but the train is too fast. A massive rod of cargo runs them down, crushing both of them in an instant. And here, death finishes what it started. The bloodline is done. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe for more notifications. Until next time. See you soon.